Yo, what up guys, it's your boy Chris Lethal here, welcome back to another video, and today we'll be matchmaking the winners and losers of UFC 324. I'm going to start off with the winners, obviously, and go down through the main event to the beginning of the card, and I'll do the same for the losers afterwards. Winners: Justin Gaethje's going to face Ilia Topuria. He just won the interim. Ilia is the champion. I don't see a world where Justin Gaethje is able to defend against Max Holloway or just Charles Oliveira. It's going to happen, and I believe it's probably going to happen at the White House. This is almost a 100% guarantee that it's going to happen. It has to happen. And sadly, Ilia Topuria is going to knock out Justin Gaethje. Sean O'Malley versus Peter Yan. Obviously, we have Sean O'Malley winning against Song Yadong in a questionable decision, some people think. I think he clearly won round 1 and 2. No, round 1 and 3. He was controlled in round 2. And I think that alone, the UFC, the Dana White privilege, they obviously want Sean O'Malley in the championship picture. Peter Yan obviously has a loss to Sean O'Malley in another questionable decision. And I believe they're definitely going to make this fight at the White House, Sean O'Malley versus Peter Yan, and the improvements that I saw Peter Yan make in the Merab fight tells me that Sean O'Malley's probably going to get destroyed by Peter Yan, but the striking is pretty good. I do believe Peter Yan has better boxing, but I think Sean O'Malley's the better overall striker. And I think they're definitely going to give him the title shot over Umar, because Umar went to decision, a boring decision and they just don't like Umar. Clearly they don't have the desire to have him in the title picture. So I think Sean O'Malley versus Peter Yan is the match to be made. Moving on, Waldo versus Volkov. Now, this sucks for Volkov. Obviously, I'm going to talk about Waldo first. He just knocked out Derek Lewis in the first round. Impressive win. Knocking out Derek Lewis is always a good testing ground. But Waldo is a good boxer. He is actually an elite heavyweight, which he came out of nowhere. And there's no one really above him that I think he's ranked number 5 in the heavyweight division. He's not going against Cyril Gane. He's not going to go against any of the people above him. And I believe the number 1 contender. This fight wouldn't be happening if there wasn't a logjam at heavyweight. Obviously, you have Cyril Gane being the number 1 contender. So whenever Tom Aspinall returns from his injury, he's going to go against Tom Aspinall. And then we have the looming threat of Alex Pereira moving up, which would just mean even more time for both of these people. Volkov beat Jailton Almeida. He beat Cyril Gane. He got robbed by that. He should have been fighting Tom Aspinall. He got robbed by Cyril Gane. And then he beat Jailton Almeida. He's the rightful number 2 contender. He's waiting for his title shot. But it's going to be too long. He's going to wait out for a year or two. And he's getting older. I think they're just going to make this fight. And whoever wins this fight will move on to become the number 1 contender after the Cyril Gane fight. Or the Alex Pereira fight, depending on if he moves up or not. But I think this will be a number 1 contenders fight, because the winner of this, who else do they have to fight? Who else is there to fight above them? And I would favor Volkov in this fight. Waldo has really good boxing, but I think Volkov's the overall better striker. He's much taller. He has much more weapons in his game than Waldo does. So moving on. Natalie Silva beat Rose Namajunas in a very questionable decision. I thought Rose won, but Natalie Silva is incredibly talented, and I think now that she beat Rose, it's easily going to be her for the title. Her versus Valentina for the title whenever they want to do it. Valentina has no challengers now. She beat Weili, she beat Manon. There's no one else left. It's definitely Natalie Silva versus Valentina Shevchenko. Hopefully, I would favor Natalie in this fight. It is a bit questionable. Her wrestling takedown defense wasn't the greatest against Rose, and Valentina's much better at wrestling than Rose, but I would still favor Natalie. Valentina's getting up there in age. I think Natalie wins that. Gene Silva versus Aljamain Sterling. Gene Silva beat Arnold Allen. He beat Arnold Allen in a pretty decisive win. He won clearly 2 rounds. And he has to move up in the division. He only has one fight. He only has a 1-fight win streak. So obviously I don't think you can push him into the title contention. I think he needs one more win before he's able to fight Volkanovski or whoever the title contender is at that time. And I was originally going to match him up with the loser of Evila versus Murphy. But I think whoever loses is going to be out for, especially if it's Mobzar who loses, that's going to be a year that you're waiting to fight. So I think in the meantime, while that's happening, and the winner of that fight goes on to fight Volk, I think you do this, and this is another number 1 contender fight. And Aljo obviously deserves it. He's been campaigning for a title fight. I don't think he's done enough in the division to earn a title shot. He beat a decaying Brian Ortega. I think this would be a fun fight. I think Aljo is really good. He's still very good, but I think Gene would put Aljo's lights out. So I think this is the match to be made. Umar versus a title shot. I think his next fight will be for a title, but I think he's going to have to wait out for a while. I think he's going to probably wait for the Sean Peter fight. I think he's going to wait for the Merab rematch, and then I think he gets a title shot. There's not much to say about this. Atiba Gutierrez versus the Iron Turtle. Atiba was shown that he is not that much of a nightmare opponent. He's obviously very powerful, and he does have good striking, but he does get complacent. He does start throwing the same combinations, and he has no wrestling. And the Iron Turtle is very hard to put away. Incredible chin, very crafty, has good wrestling, has good striking, and I think if Atiba is going to start getting better opponents, I think the Iron Turtle is the best opponent to get him into the good level of competition, because the Iron Turtle is very good. He is a talented. He put a beating on Ikram Aliskerov for a bit of that fight. And I think Atiba would win, and I think he would probably knock out the Iron Turtle, but this would be an interesting fight and a good level up for Atiba, because if he's just beating up on cans for another year, it's a waste of his talent. He needs to start leveling up slowly. Moving on. Nikita Krylov versus Alexander Rakic. Rakic is coming off of 2 knockout losses. He lost to Yuri Prohashka, and then he lost to Azamat Murzakanov. He has a glass chin. That's always been his kryptonite. Rakic has a terrible chin, and Nikita Krylov has a terrible chin too. Krylov is obviously he beat Bukowskis, and he beat him pretty soundly. He beat him by knockout, so I think they're going to give Nikita a higher-ranked opponent. And I don't think these two have ever fought. And I think this is a fresh matchup, and I think glass chin versus glass chin, I think it would be an interesting fight. Both of them are very chaotic strikers. Rakic has really good leg kicks. Nikita has his Russian karate. And I think this would be a fun fight. And I would probably favor Krylov, because Krylov does have insane power in his hands, and Rakic is kind of like a pitter-pat fighter. He doesn't really knock anyone out, but I could see Rakic hurting Nikita's legs and then getting a ground-and-pound finish or something like that. Moving on. Alex Perez versus Brandon Royval. Alex Perez is coming off of a knockout against a surgeon contender in Charles Johnson. I was very sad to see that. I'm a fan of Charles Johnson. I thought Alex Perez was washed. He lost to Asu Almabayev, who is very shit. I don't think Almabayev is going to be anything in this division. But he beat him by submission. But before the submission, the jumping guillotine, I think Perez was soundly beating Almabayev. He was beating him up on the feet. He still clearly has power in his hands. He's still very fast. He has good striking. He has good anti-wrestling, and he has good offensive wrestling. And I do think he could beat Royval. Royval is coming off of 2 losses. One to Joshua Van, where he got knocked down brutally in the 3rd round, and a knockout loss to Manel Cap in December in the last card of 2025. And I think he finally needs to step down, and I think Alex Perez is going to get a step up for beating Johnson, and I think Royval obviously goes down in the rankings. He's already, I think, number 4 in the rankings. I think he's going to have to defend his spot, fight down, and I think this is a good fight. I don't think these two, again, have never fought each other, I believe. I'm not 100% sure, but I don't think they have. And Royval is a very good boxer, and he's a young contender. So I do think eventually Royval will get back to the title picture, but for now he has to defend his spot. And I think this would be a really interesting fight. I would favor Brendan Royval to win, but I could see Alex Perez winning. Moving on. Josh Hokit versus Derek Lewis. Josh Hokit destroyed Denzel Freeman with the first ever middle finger knockout. And Derek Lewis is obviously, he lost by KO against Waldo Cortez Acosta. So this means I will not be putting Derek Lewis in the losers category because we already know what matchup he's going to have. I'd put this on the White House card. Josh Hokit is very talented, very fast hands, very good striker, very good wrestling. And Derek Lewis is obviously in the rankings. He's always a threat no matter what fight. He's always has that one-shot power. And this would be a fun trash talking. Put this on the main card. This would be very fun to watch. You know, this would be crazy from the beginning. Josh Hokit would start standing and banging with Derek Lewis. Derek Lewis would try and kill him. And the trash talking would be good. And no matter what, the post-fight interview will be fantastic. You'll get Derek Lewis taking off his pants, or you'll get Josh Hokit saying Brittany Griner is a man. Overall, this is just a really good fight. Obviously, I think Hokit isn't in the position, like he's not in the rankings, so you could give him a lesser known heavyweight, but I think he's shown he's so much better than these lower ranking heavyweights. I think you should give him Derek Lewis. And Derek Lewis has fought people on the surge. He fought Nascimento, he fought De Lima, Rodrigo De Lima at 300 where he did that fucking bicycle knee. I think Josh Hokit beats him, though. I think he knocks out Derek Lewis. And on to the last winner of the card, Ty Miller. Incredible showing, great boxing. Versus Basil Hafez. Hafez is coming off of a brutal knockout to Oban Elliott. And Ty Miller is obviously, he just had his debut against Adam Fugit. I think you give him a good middleweight, a good welterweight. You don't give him like an unknown name. You give him, Basil Hafez has a good reputation. He had that really close fight with Mickey Gall. He had that close fight with JDM. And obviously he's coming off a knockout loss, and he'd been injured for a while. I think this would be a really good test for Ty Miller, and I think this is probably not going to happen, but I think Ty Miller deserves a step up in competition, and I think Basil Hafez deserves another fight in the UFC, even though he has been injured for about a year and a half. On to the losers category. Paddy Pimblett lost to Justin Gaethje. Got dominated for most of the rounds. Did have his moments. I know people are saying that he got 5-0'd, fucking 10-8 on multiple rounds. I don't think so. I think Paddy Pimblett showed that he is elite. He does have striking. He really needs to work on his striking defense. And he is a very goofy striker. But I think you put him up against another goofy striker. These two do have very similar styles. Marauders that just walk forwards. Really good chins, or so we thought. Really good chins. And great wrestling, great jiu-jitsu. And like shitty striking, sloppy striking on the feet. I think this is a good fight. BSD just won against Dan Hooker. Paddy Pimblett's going to be out for a while. Probably about 6 or 7 months. BSD's probably going to want to take a break. He's had multiple fights in the last, 4 months. And I think this is a good fight to show, this is another fight that if BSD wins, he's immediately in title contention. If he finishes Paddy Pimblett, he's probably going to be the number one contender. And if Paddy Pimblett finishes BSD, he's immediately up there again with the top echelon of the lightweight division. So, moving on. Song Yadong is coming off of a loss to Sean O'Malley in a pretty competitive fight. And he was already on a losing streak, I believe. Oh no, he had beat Henry Cejudo. He's lost his last couple fights besides that. And he's obviously going to fight down in competition now. And I think the perfect person to go against is Ayman Zahabi. Zahabi's moving up the rankings while Song Yadong is going down. They're going to meet, and that will put Zahabi in the upper echelon of bantamweight. But I don't think they're going to give Ayman Zahabi the Sean O'Malley fight. I heard people talking about that. They don't want Sean O'Malley to have a boring fight. Zahabi usually has boring fights, and they're always very razor-thin decisions. He arguably robbed Marlon Vera. He did rob Jose Aldo, and I don't think they're going to give him too high of a ranking jump. So I think Song Yadong is the fight to happen. Rose is going to fight Jasmine Jazz. How do you say her name? Jazz Javidikis or something? I'm not going to talk about this too much because I think this is just the fight that's going to happen. She's coming up the rankings. Rose is on a losing streak. I think Jasmine versus Rose is going to happen. Arnold Allen losing to Gene Silva. He's now, 1-1 in his last 2 fights. And before that, he's 1-3 in his last 4. He lost to Holloway. He lost to Evelev. He beat Giga, and he lost to Gene. He's in a fight down in the rankings, and I think the perfect person to put him back on the spot is Steve Garcia. Steve Garcia is coming off of a win against... Who did he beat? He had a main event against someone in the Apex. I don't know who. He is a brawler. He wants to stand and bang. Exactly Arnold Allen's way of fighting. And I think Arnold Allen versus Steve Garcia will be a fucking beautiful fight. I could see Arnold Allen gritting this one out. I think Steve Garcia has the power to knock out Arnold, because Arnold has shown that he has not the greatest chin, and Steve has unbelievable power. But this fight is going to be great. And honestly, this could go either way. I don't think the odds will be in favor of either people. Steve is a very good fighter. He deserves the step up. And Arnold obviously has to fight down because he can't fight up. He's losing too much. And he needs to fight down. That's why I believe Steve Garcia will be the next fight. Moving on. Deiveson Figueiredo. Honestly, I should have said Deiveson Figueiredo retires. His last couple fights have been devastatingly terrible, boring fights. I think he lost his passion after that Peter Yan fight. He knew he wasn't going to fight for a title anymore, and he's going in for a payday. He's obviously, in his second to last fight, he had that brutal leg injury against Sandhagen. He came back, he fought Umar, and he just couldn't get anything going against Umar. He got held down. He made it a very boring fight. And I think the perfect person to try and get a fight out of Deiveson Figueiredo is a beautiful striker, very powerful, very good kickboxing in Peyton Talbot. Peyton Talbot is coming off of a great win against Henry Cejudo in his retirement fight. He managed to show his levels now. He's massively improved his wrestling. He's massively improved his takedown defense. And his striking has always been his vocal point. So I think Deiveson Figueiredo drops down in the rankings. I think this is the fight to happen. I was originally going to do Peyton Talbot versus Corey Sandhagen, but I think that's too high of a leap. I think the digression of Figgy versus the progression of Peyton will have this fight be much more even than people believe. And I think this could be a fun fight. And I think Peyton will win this fight by probably knockout, even though Figgy has a good chin. This one I'm not going to talk too much about. Andrei Puliev, he shouldn't be cut. He should have another fight. He took the scariest fighter to decision, and he had moments. Puliev is obviously an actually good UFC fighter, and I think he should have another chance of proving himself. He's only gone against really good competition. He took CLD to decision, and he took Atiba to decision, and he won the fight in between that. Eric Nolan fought Bagdasarian Susakayev. He fought him. And Eric Nolan should have another fight coming up. He hasn't fought since he got submitted by Bagsangar. And I think this is just a fun fight. This is a winnable fight for both parties. And I think, again, you have to treat Puliev with respect for what he did against Atiba. And you got to respect Nolan for coming up on short notice against his opponent. Obviously, they both came out on the losing end. So, get one of them back into the win column. Have this fight booked. Moving on. Modestas Bukowski. Brutal knockout to Nikita Krylov. He showed that he isn't really top 15 material. He's a good striker. He doesn't have any power in his hands. He has a semi-good chin. He got caught in the end trying to win trying to do something at the end. He got caught. It was unlucky. And I think he'll come back soon, and I think he should go against someone lower than him, obviously. He should go against someone that deserves to step up in competition, and I think that's Navajo Sterling. Navajo is coming off of a 3-fight win streak against Ivan Ersling. Who else? Bellato. Is it Bellato? Yeah, Bellato. He took all of them to decision, so I don't think there's really much of a knockout threat coming against Bukowskis. They're both really good strikers. Bukowskis is more of a pitter-pat kickboxer, and so is Navajo. So this may be a boring fight, but it would really give the level. It would show who will be a top 15, because I do think Navajo is good enough to be in the top 15. I do think Bukowskis is a top 15 level light heavyweight. It's just I think he got unlucky against a Nikita Krylov pick. So I think this is the fight to happen. Charles Johnson, not too much to say. While I was making this video, he stepped in on short notice to fight Bruno Silva. So I originally had him against Alan Nascimento because he got brutally knocked out, and he's already the 15 spot in the flyweight division. Might as well give someone who's surging up in the unranked category of flyweight and have him. But Bruno Silva is the fight. Denzel Freeman, I'm not going to talk about it. He had one of the worst fights I've ever watched, and then he got brutally knocked out by Josh Hokett. He looked like he hadn't trained a day in his life against Josh Hokett. So, give him a regional opponent, fire him, let him go back to PFL or the regional scene. Adam Fugit versus Chris Alvarez. I think Adam Fugit is going to be a welterweight Dana White Contender Series welcomer. He fought Dulatov, he fought Ty Miller, and he fought, hopefully he fights another Dana White Contender Series fighter in Alvarez. Alvarez was a massive underdog in his fight, and he knocked out his opponent. So I think he is actually very talented, and I do see this fight being made. If you haven't seen Chris Alvarez fight, watch it. But I think Adam Fugit's just going to start welcoming people to the UFC. I don't think he's going to get fired. If he loses to Chris Alvarez, he might get released. But other than that, I could see him having competitive fights with like some up-and-coming Dana White Contender Series fighters. And maybe some like debuting untraditional way of getting into the UFC fighters. Anyway, thank you guys for watching. Please like, comment, and subscribe. And if you guys disagree with any of the matchmaking, tell me your opinion in the comment section below.